Hello and welcome to another episode of Chuchu as a Ranker. On this episode we're going to be continuing our albums of the year list. This time it's 1999. So yeah, final year of the 90s. We are finally there. It's going to be sad to say goodbye to this decade. I've had a lot of fun here. And 99 as a year, it's kind of bereft of an identity. There's lots of tentacles out there like searching for new sounds. I wouldn't exactly say it was a strong year, but we still have 10 really great records on this list. So without further ado, let's be complete rankers and rank up a storm. These are my personal top 10 albums of 1999. So, we're going to be kicking off this list with The Man Who by Travis, which was the band's second album and also their breakthrough album. This is a huge hit record and spent something ridiculous like an entire year on the charts, got tons of hit singles on it. And this is also a very influential album, and this kind of popularized that sort of like post-Radiohead, grey sky, dour kind of melancholia. And as I said, this record was really successful, so that really opened the floodgates for bands like Coldplay and Snow Patrol. And yeah, this record is pretty great. Plenty of great singles on this. The opening track, Writing to Reach You, is a classic. Driftwood, love the acoustic guitars on that. Like, that's a really catchy song, probably my favorite from this record. Turn is a really catchy song, like definitely more upbeat than the other songs on this. Why Does It Always Rain on Me? Great string section, really love that one. Yeah, and the rest of the songs on this album aren't bad either. Nothing really to write home about. Haha, there's a joke to be made there. Writing to reach you. Yeah, more like writing to get a reach around. Why? Never mind. But yeah, this is a pretty strong record. You know, it's just like something to play to your nan to make her happy. So, a good curtain jerker for this list. Another sophomore effort coming at you thick and fast. We have Peasants, Pigs and Astronauts by Kula Shaker. So yeah, this record was not anywhere near as successful as the first one. I think the tide of fashion had really changed against Kula Shaker, and their frontman, Crispin Mills, had kind of been outed as a bit of a pretentious wanker. no way around it. He was being quite pretentious in the press at that particular time. So yeah, bit of a more minor record. And on this one, Kula Shaker are definitely dialing back the heaviness that was all over K. This is a much wider, almost kind of like folky record, but I still really like it. It's really awesome. The opening track, a great Hosanna. Again, that folkiness really comes to the fore. Mystical Machine Gun was a great lead single. Rade Rade, more of that kind of Indian vibe that Kula Shaker does really, really well. I'm Still Here is super catchy. 108 Battles of the Mind, Sound of Drums, really good mid-album tracks. Yep, I love this record. Like, those Eastern riffs drive me crazy, and this record is just a good time for me. Great stuff from Kula Shaker here. Next up, we have Head Music by Suede, which was the band's fourth album, and on this record, the band are kind of messing around with, I think, almost industrial music is the best way I can kind of describe it, along with their usual pop racket. And let's be honest, this album does have a few, I think filler is a bit too polite. They're just straight up bad songs on this, but only a few. Asbestos, Hi-Fi, Indian Strings, naff songs. I mean, there's no way around it. They are bad songs. They should have been cut from this record, and this would have been a stronger album if they didn't have those songs, but I love everything else on this. Electricity, absolutely amazing. Opening track, like really spacey. I love it. Can't Get Enough is just straight up cocaine fueled madness. Love that one as well. The arpeggiated guitar work on Everything Will Flow. Like the dual, like really dour atmospheric ballads of Down and He's Gone. Really awesome stuff. She's in Fashion, bit of David Bowie with stuttering guitar there, really cool. Head Music and Elephant Man, really kind of like minor tracks, but I think they're really cool as well. I really like them. And the closing track, Crack and Union Jack, I love that kind of echoey acoustic guitar on that. Really, really awesome. So yeah, tons to enjoy on this. Again, Not perfect, but for me, super nostalgic and an easy placing on this list. Next up, we have HMS Fable by Shaq, and on this record, Shaq are partying like Britpop never died. Like I said on the 1998 list with Rialto, if this had been released a few years earlier, this probably would have been huge, but yeah, it's definitely a couple years too late. But the sound of this, with all those kind of like jangly guitars and really catchy vocals, this is very much in the center of what Britpop was. Yeah, and this is just a great Britpop record. There are no bad tracks on this and plenty of highlights. Highlights include Comedy, like absolutely love that song, super catchy. Those layered vocal harmonies, like Teenage Fan Club style, really, really gorgeous in the chorus. Pulled together, feels like it could have been a huge hit in a different time. Captain's Table, super atmospheric, and like every time I hear it, I always think of Bird's Eye Fish Fingers. Like, wow, that's super nostalgic for me. But actually, the best section of this record is actually the last three songs where the record just goes into overdrive for me. Cornish Town, absolutely love that. Again, those vocal harmonies is super catchy. I love all the instrumentation on that. It really feels like a seaside kind of shanty. The closing track, Daniela, a stripped back acoustic number. Love the beautiful atmospheric acoustic picking on that. Really wonderful way to close the record. So yeah, this is just a fantastic Britpop album, coming far too late to the table, but that in no way takes away from the quality of the record. Awesome stuff. Coming in next, we have The Fragile by 9 Inch Nails, which was the band's huge double album. And on this, you have lots of kind of industrial synth work mixed with metal. It's really cool. Like a lot of 9 Inch Nails records, it sounds really edgy and kind of hardcore and dark. But because it's a double album, this record also takes time to create like ambient atmosphere. And it does slow down and have a lot of like extended instrumental sections across the record. I really like that aspect. But being a double album also brings with it its own detriments. It's 1 hour and 43 minutes long. 1 hour and 43 minutes long. Holy fuck. What the hell? That is way, way, way too long. If you want to listen to this record in its entirety, you just basically have to set aside an entire afternoon to do it. That's insane. Also, it suffers from bloat, especially like maybe the last 4 songs on this record could have been cut, especially considering like when you get to the last 4 songs, you really need something to kind of pick you up, and those are not kind of pick you up songs. But there are tons of highlights, and this record is super long, and there's like 23 tracks on it. I can't go through the entire record, but yeah, highlights include the opening track, Somewhat Damaged, absolutely amazing, just this grinding heaviness and nastiness to that. We're in This Together is like super catchy. Lemur has this tinkling like piano line, and then it builds up to this huge fuzz explosion. It's just really, really cool. Into the Void, another really catchy single. Starfuckers Inc. Like, how can you not smile when you hear something like Starfuckers Inc? Just absolutely fantastic. So yeah, this record is great. Okay, so this is like an artistic marvel in a way, and I really appreciate what Trent Reznor is like doing here. But ultimately, this is 1 hour and 43 minutes. How many times in your life are you ever going to sit down and listen to this? I mean, that's major points off for like just being massively, massively overlong. So we're going to be kicking off the top 5 with At the Heart of Winter by Immortal. Yeah, metal has been pretty thin on the ground on these lists recently. I think the last metal record that appeared was back in 1990 with Judas Priest Painkiller. But here on this list, 2 metal records, including the 9 Inch Nails on the previous entry, and this one by Immortal. So this record is widely regarded as Immortal's masterpiece, and universally regarded as one of the greatest black metal records ever recorded. Yeah, and it's absolutely fantastic. It's everything that you could want from a metal record. It's super heavy, so it has that hard like adrenaline punch. You got blast beats all over this.
incendiary guitar riffs for days, and all the kind of like technicality and timing changes, but everything you could want on this record. There are only 6 tracks on this. It's only 46 minutes long, so it doesn't overstay its welcome. Not a bad song. Everything is absolutely brilliant. The opener, Withstand the Fall of Time, as epic as you could possibly want. The guitar work on that, ooh, chef's kiss, is awesome. The title track, At the Heart of Winter, starts off with these kind of like creaking synths and like really atmospheric kind of prelude, and before it explodes in just metal bliss. It's absolutely fucking fantastic. Where light and dark don't differ even adds in a little bit of catchiness. Solarfall is also really cool, and another interesting aspect to this particular black metal record is it doesn't have that kind of like violent imagery that a lot of these black metal records have. It doesn't deal with Satanism or all that kind of bullshit. This is much more innocent. It's like, has science fiction, fantasy themed lyrics. It's all about evil wizards and the sun dying and like the world freezing over. So yeah, if you like metal, you can't pass this one up. This is an absolute masterpiece. If you don't like metal, I don't know what to tell you. This probably isn't going to change your mind, but yeah, I absolutely love this record, and it's an easy placing on this list. Coming in next, we have the biggest selling electronica album of all time. It's Play by Moby. Yeah, this album was absolutely huge. Last year's winner, Air, sort of opened the floodgates with Moon Safari, and Moby here is taking that kind of music to its natural conclusion. And yeah, this is like a really influential album in terms of what it did for sample culture. Some of the sampling work on here is absolutely top rate. You know, you have Honey, Why Does My Heart Feel So Bad, Natural Blues, some of the most famous sample songs of all time, and they're absolutely fantastic. In fact, this whole record is fantastic. It's an hour and 3 minutes. Perhaps that's a little bit too long for my taste, but the majority of this track list is just brilliant. So many classics, and not just assembled tracks as well, but you have Porcelain. Nicely details Moby's kind of depressing lyrics. It really works for this relaxing kind of vibe. For example, The Sky Is Broken, like really downbeat, really cool. And also, occasionally, Moby does actually break out the rock. For example, on Body Rock as well, he is no stranger to picking up a guitar and just rocking out. I mean, this is the guy who did the Extreme Rules theme for the Jason Bourne movies. Unfortunately, not on this record. This would be number 1 if he had that on it, but like... But yeah, I really like this record, and I think Moby was very savvy and very wise with his kind of like publishing and licensing of these songs. You know, at the time when this record was new, you just couldn't switch on a fucking TV without bumping into one of these songs, and I think that ubiquitous nature really kind of elevates the album because it is so relaxing. You do need those sort of like sudden pangs of just like nostalgia. So yeah, this is obviously a time-stamped and dated masterpiece. One of the greatest electronica albums of all time, and a record that you should probably have in your collection. Coming in third place and taking home the bronze medal, we have What Are You Going to Do With Your Life by Echo and the Bunnymen, which was the second album into their kind of reunion. And yeah, on this one, the Bunnymen are very much in autumnal mode. This is a very stately, very gentle, kind of laid-back record. Almost has like a folky feeling to it at times. I know the guitarist Will Sargent doesn't really like this record because the frontman Ian McCulloch really took over and made the record his own, and Will Sargent has been quoted as saying he just felt like he was playing on Ian McCulloch's solo record. I personally don't find that all that apparent on this record because I think some of Will Sargent's best ever playing is on this record. I absolutely love his guitar performance across this one. Yeah, and I love this record. This is 9 tracks, 38 minutes, not a bad second of airtime on this, and it includes some of my favourite songs of all time, like legitimately of all time, namely the huge ballads of Rust and Fools Like Us, the closing track. Rust, I love those kind of like Britpop guitars, and the chorus on that. I can feel stars shooting from my heart like rain, leaving all the scars when the pleasure turns to... You know how it goes. It's just absolutely amazing, and Fools Like Us has one of my favourite string sections of all time on it, like really awesome and epic. Yeah, plenty of other good stuff on this. Get in the Car has that kind of like stuttering Will Sergeant guitar, really cool. Baby Rain is super catchy. When It All Blows Over, I really love the trumpet work on that, like just so euphoric. Yeah, I love this record, and it's super, super nostalgic for me. I mean, when I think of 1999, this is the first record that springs into my mind. It just captured a time in my life when I was like super happy, playing like Mario Kart 64 and GoldenEye with my brother and drinking way too much Dr. Pepper. So yeah, nostalgia for days and an awesome record. Easy placing on this list. Silver medal time, and the silver medal is going to go to Keep It Like a Secret by Built to Spill, which I think was the band's fourth album, but also their major label debut. And yeah, Built to Spill is an American indie alternative rock band. There's a kind of like vulnerability to the lyrics and the vocals. It's somewhere between like Belle and Sebastian and Wilco. I think vocally it's got a really cool sound. On the flip side, like the guitar work is a lot heavier and more intricate than the two bands that I mentioned. It's pretty heavy at times and has lots of like harmonized, arpeggiated riffs on it. Really, really cool stuff. And I think this album is definitely ahead of the curve here, because this is what indie sounded like in general about 10 years after this record. So it's hard to believe that this was released in 1999. It could have been released yesterday. And yeah, this is 10 songs, 46 minutes, right in the sweet spot. No bad tracks on this. And yeah, just full of great stuff. Like Carry the Zero, like just exactly in that point between hard rocking out and bursting into tears. Really cool. Sidewalk is unbelievably catchy. Time Trap, the guitar on Time Trap, come on, get the fuck out of town. That's an amazing guitar performance with all the stop starts and time changes. As is like the closing track, Broken Chairs. I love that extended wah wah freak out he does on that. But the highlight of this album is Else, just one of those huge, almost Radiohead-esque mega ballads. Like, I love the chiming guitars and just, yeah, the melodies on it, absolutely fantastic. If you don't know Built to Spill, just go check out that one song, Else. You know, just go watch it on YouTube or listen to it on Spotify or whatever. If you don't want to check out this record after listening to that one song, I don't know what to tell you, because that song's an absolute masterpiece. Yeah, this is a fantastic record, and it almost made number one, but not quite. So here we are at the top of the mountain, and the gold medal for 1999 is going to go to Summer Teeth by Wilco. So yeah, this is kind of Wilco's big breakthrough record. Their albums previous to this were a lot more rootsy, but here they're going for like the indie music jugular. In fact, this record like pretty much defined how indie would sound over the next decade. And just like I mentioned on the previous entry of Built to Spill, Jeff Tweedy's lyrics on this definitely have more of a kind of like emotional ring to them. They also often have like subversive or mysterious elements to them. For example, the opening lyric of Via Chicago, I dreamed about killing you last night and it felt alright to me. Like, when you hear that lyric, you just immediately want to kind of like lean into the track to hear what he's talking about. And yeah, this is an absolutely fantastic record. Obviously, it's number one. There are 17 tracks on this. It's 1 hour long. That's too long. But, you know, looking at the track listing, what the hell do you take off of this? There are no bad songs on this. Everything has its right place on this record. And on this album, from a sound texture standpoint, definitely the keys on this record, the keyboards and the synths and stuff are like right up the front. Like the guitar's definitely taking a step back, but very tastefully done as well. Has almost like an indie folk vibe to it. Like really, really awesome record. Highlights include A Shot in the Arm, like super, super catchy. I mean, if you can resist singing along with that end refrain, you know, something in my veins, bloodier than blood, like you've got more resolve than me. We're Just Friends, an absolutely beautiful piano ballad, like so fragile and just sounds so painful, like really, really awesome. I'm Always in Love, again, super catchy. And talking about super catchy, Nothing's Ever Gonna Stand in My Way, just that stomping, like mosh-inducing chorus. Pie Holden Suite. I love the trumpets on that. How to Fight Loneliness, man, such a great song. Like, again, that indie folk vibe coming right at you. Like, love the lyrics on it, love like that kind of resigned feeling of sadness. ELT is just this stomping, catchy, driving song. Like, it really reminds me of Teenage Fan Club. Really awesome stuff. And Candy Floss is also similarly very catchy and upbeat, and sort of ends the record on a bit more of a high, as well as the remix version of A Shot in the Arm. Usually I'm not a fan of remixes of the same track, but I'm going to give that a pass because, you know, A Shot in the Arm is just so fucking good. So there you have it. Summer Teeth by Wilco, a pretty easy number one. And that's it. That's my list for 1999. But that might not be your list. Your list might look completely different. Please sound off in the comment section and tell me all the classics that I've missed. Like, share, subscribe, and all that other kind of YouTube jazz. Make sure to check back for my 2000 list, because yeah, that's it. We've finished this decade and we're heading into a new one. That's going to be super fun. Take care of yourself, but most importantly, just keep on ranking.
What you once were isn't what you want to be.